What do you imagine you see? Do you see your feet at all?
Yeah, I'm wearing work boots.
Work boots. And take a look at the ground around you. Tell me, what's your landscape?
It's grass.
It's grass. And I want you to look at your hands and feel your head to see if you have a hat on, and look at your clothes. And you can do this remotely. You can view yourself remotely. And tell me what you're wearing. So you're wearing boots.
I'm wearing dark clothes.
Dark clothes. And tell me, are you inside or are you outside? What's your first impression?
Outside.
Is it morning or is it evening?
It's daylight.
It's daylight. And tell me, do you sense? I want you to connect with your senses now and your body. Do you sense that you're male or you're female?
Male.
You're male. And as I continue to talk to you, in a moment I'm going to ask you your age, and you'll just see some numbers come to mind. So when you're ready, how old do you feel you are? What's your first impression?
45.
You're 45. And what do people call you in that life? The first thing that comes to your mind. Hear your name.
Gary.
Gary. Gary, thank you for coming forward and working with me and my client today. Gary, we want to review this life, and as we review the life, I want you to look around the landscape and tell me, do you know where you are? What country are you in?
England.
You're in England. Is that the north, the south, the east or the west?
North.
It's in the north. And what year is it? See the numbers of the year.
1819.
1819. Gary, what are you doing in the north of England?
I'm a farmer.
You're a farmer. And as you look around this farm, is it cattle or is it agricultural?
Agricultural.
Well, I'd like you to be able to take me to your farmhouse. So with that image in mind and following my words, just drift and float with your mind forward, making an intention to go to your home. And I want you to stand outside of that home and describe it to me. Be there now. What does it look like?
It's a large farmhouse with a door on the left-hand side.
A large farmhouse with a door on the left-hand side.
There's one those things that you wipe the mud off your boots before you go in.
And you wipe your boots?
Yeah, there's a metal thing that you put your boots.
A metal thing to wipe your boots? Yeah?
Yeah.
And tell me, Gary, do you live alone in that house? Or are there others with you?
I can live alone, I think.
You live alone? Do you work on the farm on your own, or are there other people that work with you?
I think there are others.
Do you employ these others?
I think I'm employed.
You're employed?
Yes.
Are you employed to run the farm, or do you just work on the farm?
I just work on the farm.
You work on the farm. So do you live in that farmhouse or do you live somewhere else?
No, I live somewhere else.
Take me to the place where you live. As you hear my voice, I want you to take me to the place where you sleep at night, where you rest your soul. Be there now. Where do you sleep?
It was a small cottage.
Uh-huh. And this small cottage, is it close to the farmhouse or is it somewhere else?
I think it's quite close to the farmhouse.
Uh-huh. And is there anybody else in that cottage?
No.
No. And this farmer that you work for, how do you feel about this farmer? Is he good to you? Or is he not?
No, not particularly.
He's not good.
No.
Well, I want you to have the image of that farmer in front of you now. Describe that farmer to me. What does he look like? What colour is his hair?
He's got white hair that's
White hair,
just not very tidy.
not tidy. And what colour are his eyes there, Gary?
Brown.
They're brown. Well, knowing that the eyes are the windows to the soul, what I want you to do is I want you to connect with those eyes, and I want you to telepathically communicate mind to mind and soul to soul, and look deep within those eyes and see if you connect with that soul, and tell me, is that farmer in your life today? Who does he? What's your first impression? Is it similar to someone today?
No, not today.
No. Now I want you to give me some more detail about whereabouts you live. You say you live in England, in the north of England, in 1819. So which part do you live? Do you live near Newcastle or Liverpool or near Scotland?
No, it's an old sage.
You live in Alsager.
Yes.
So what I want you to do now, Gary, is I want you to close that scene, but I'd like to stay in the same timeline if you could. If not, travel to a different life. So when you're ready, just close that scene now. And let's go drifting and floating forward. Forward in the same timeline to another significant time when something important is happening to you. Feel yourself drifting, floating forward now. And I'm going to count from 3 to 1. And when I get to 1, I want you to be in that other time when something significant is happening to you now. 3, 2, and 1. Be there now. How old are you now?
I'd say 49.
You're 49. Take a look around, Gary, and tell me, are you inside or outside?
I'm outside.
You're outside. I want you to connect with what's going on outside and tell me why you brought me to this scene. Describe it to me.
Well, we cut the haymaking.
You're haymaking. So this is a happy time for you?
No, it's just work has to be done.
Work has to be done. Who's helping you with that haymaking?
There's 2 or 3 other workers.
And as you look at those workers there, I just want you to glance at them very slowly and tell me which one are you more affiliated to than the rest?
The one with the back suit, he's got a hat on.
So draw him forward. What's his name? What do you call him? The one with the hat on.
Bob.
Take a look at Bob. Describe Bob to me. What's his personality?
I think he's just very serious.
He's serious. How old do you think he is? Just average.
I'd say 50.
In his 50s. And I want you to connect and look into his eyes, spiritually communicate, mind to mind and soul to soul. As the eyes are the windows to the soul, go deep into those eyes. Is Bob in your life today?
No.
No, he's not. So what I want to do now is I want to close that scene, and I want you to take me to the last day of that life so we can evaluate that life. So when you're ready, just closing that scene now. Closing that scene now and allowing your mind to close that scene as you go, drifting forward now. Forward to the last day of that life. Totally detached from any pain, fear or emotion. Very good. Be there now. And tell me, how old do you feel now?
In the 50s, probably 50.
Your 50s. Are you dying from old age or has something happened to you?
I seem trapped.
You seem trapped. You're just an observer of the scene, viewing it from afar, totally detached. So I want you to imagine that you're raising your soul above that scene so that you can describe to me, how come you're trapped there, Gary?
I seem to be trapped in some marsh and sinking.
In a marsh, you're sinking. So what I want to do now is, I want to step backwards in time to just before the time that you stepped into that marsh. So let's go back just before the time that you stepped into that marshland. Tell me, are you on your own there?
Yes.
And do you have a dog, or is there anything with you at all?
No.
No. But why are you walking around this marshland, Gary?
Just walking around the farm, the fields, chopping.
Oh, I see. Did you not know that that was marshland?
I did, but I didn't know it was so boggy.
You didn't realise it was so boggy. And is this how you pass?
Yes.
You get stuck?
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is I want you to take a nice deep breath now, Gary. And I just want you to raise your soul out of that body, because that was just a vehicle to learn the lessons of that life. And as you leave that body behind, tell me, how do you feel that you did in that life? Did you do all you contracted to do?
Just a very hard life.
It was a very hard life. Is that what you contracted to do?
To farm, yes, but just
To farm.
that's all I seem to do.
To farm was the contract.
Yeah.
So now that you've left that body behind, it's normal at this time that someone or something comes to collect you, to take you back home, wherever that home is. Some people go to different planets, some people go to their soul groups. And as I continue to talk to you, there'll be someone or something getting closer to you now to take you home. And the more I talk, the closer and closer they come, until you can see them or see that thing in front of you now. Describe to me what you see there.
I can see my dad.
You can see your dad. Mm-hmm. Well, you can telepathically communicate with your dad. So ask him, does he have a message for you? What's he saying to you?
You don't need to feel guilty. You don't need to.
Don't feel guilty. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll be sure to pass that message on to you. So I'd like now to come with you and your father. Just allow him to take you above that scene now, drifting and floating up and up and up and up and up. And I'd like to visit your soul family or your group to see what you do. So drifting and floating up now, shedding the memories of that life, following your father, drifting and floating up and up and up. In a moment I'm going to count from 3 to 1, and when I get to 1, your father's going to have taken you to your group. So when you're ready, 3, floating upwards now, 2, getting closer and closer, and 1. Be there now. Describe to me your surroundings. Is it dark or light?
No, it's light.
It's light. Mm-hmm. And as you use all your senses, do you sense that you're on your own or you're with other souls?
With other souls.
Yeah. How many other souls do you imagine are there? Are there 2 or 100?
About 6 or 7.
6 or 7. Mm-hmm. As you connect with these souls, I want you to make an intention to bring one of those souls forward. So as I'm talking to you now, make that intention and ask that one comes forward now, drawing closer and closer to you. That's right. And I want you to telepathically communicate with them and ask them if they have a message for you.
They want me to get better.
They want you to get better. Mm-hmm. So ask him, are they going to help you get better? Ask him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. These souls that you see now, do you see them in human form or are they in some other form?
No, the human form.
Human form. Mm-hmm. I'd like you also to ask this soul, who was it that sent me to you? Who was it that guided me to you?
Well, they say Gary.
Gary. Mm-hmm. So, Gary from this life, Gary whose life we're talking about now?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So he doesn't want you to be trapped as he was trapped?
No.
I see. I get the message. Thank you. So what I want to do now is I want to close that scene